Welcome back to another race, you guys. My name is Tyler, and tonight the World of Outlaws return to the state of Pennsylvania as we're headed to the fabulous Lincoln Speedway. The last time the World of Outlaws were at the Lincoln Speedway, Sheldon Haudenschild picked up the victory, and after his first career Eldora Speedway World of Outlaws Series win last weekend, he's looking to go back-to-back and continue his surge to the top of the point standings. Coming into tonight's event, Brad Sweet is still on top with David Gravel quickly closing after a lackluster performance by the Napa 49 last weekend. Then we've got CARSON MACEDO, rookie Aaron Reitzel, and Sheldon Haudenschild still chasing him down in a heated battle for the third place point standings, and everybody behind him is still chasing the big cat. When you think of rivalries in sports, you might think of Yankees, Red Sox, Duke, North Carolina, Ohio State, Michigan. But when it comes to motorsports, we start thinking about Earnhardt and Gordon, Ford and Ferrari. But there is no rivalry greater than the World of Outlaws versus the PA Posse. This rivalry has created some of the best races over the last few decades within sprint car racing. We're talking Williamsgrove races, we're talking Lernerville, we're talking Lincoln Speedway, and we're headed back to Lincoln Speedway tonight and can expect some great racing action in a season that has been very competitive across the sport of sprint car racing. So let's get right into the action tonight, you guys. We're going $10,000 in the World of Outlaws return to the fabulous Lincoln Speedway. Let's go. Tonight we had 48 cars show up to the track to do war for $10,000 in a 35-lap feature, but before that, we've got to set up some preliminary action. In hot laps tonight, Brad Sweet was the quickest overall at a 13.2, and we'd see that the track was really nowhere near what it needed to be at to set a new track record, which was set by the late Greg Hodnett at a 12.5. In qualifying tonight, we had two different flights because we've got 48 cars at the track, so 24 and 24. We would split it into two different flights. Flight number 1 in white is going to be competing in heat race number 1 and 2, and then flight number 2 in blue is going to be competing in heat race number 3 and 4. The reason why we do this is because typically in dirt track racing, the track tends to get slower throughout qualifying, so to keep it fair with the random draw coming into the event tonight, we want to just make sure that it is a even playing field for everybody. What's so awesome about the rivalry between the PA Posse and the World of Outlaws is that tonight we're going to see guys like Anthony Macri, Lance DeWeese, Freddie Raymer, Danny Dietrich competing against the World of Outlaw regulars like Sheldon Haudenschild, David Gravel, CARSON MACEDO, Brad Sweet, the whole host of others, and that is so amazing just to see all those guys on the same track. Tonight, Anthony Macri would be the first out in qualifying in flight number 1. Anthony Macri was the quickest overall in qualifying tonight with a 13.1, and second was CARSON MACEDO, third was James McFadden, and going out last in flight number 1 was Lance DeWeese, and he would set the fourth fastest time at a 13.2, so the track was really holding up. I give you the top 4 because these guys are going to start on the front row of heat race number 1 and 2. And then Paul's to the wall. Paul McMahon in flight number 2 driving the number 5 for CJB Motorsports sets a quick time of 13.4. In second was DONNY SCHATZ, Brad Sweet, and then Aaron Reitzel rounds out the top 4. Again, these guys will start on the front row of heat race number 3 and 4. Heat races are 8 laps, and the top 5 will transfer into tonight's main event. Top 2 will go to the dash. It's so important to get into that dash because that's going to set the top 4 rows in tonight's feature. Starting up front in heat race number 1 was James McFadden and Anthony Macri. At the start, James McFadden gets to the jump and goes on to win heat race number 1. Right behind him, though, was Anthony Macri and David Gravel waging war. Halfway through the race, Anthony Macri gets passed by David Gravel for second, and Anthony charges back, and on the final lap, gets into second, will go to the dash. Also transferring in was David Gravel. Sam Haferkeep drives into a transfer spot, and Craig Kinzer charges up into a transfer spot as well. Heat race number 2 had CARSON MACEDO and Lance DeWeese starting side by side, and they would stay side by side through the first lap, but then CARSON MACEDO would take off running the bottom. Lance DeWeese would fend off Sheldon Haudenschild for second, and these guys both will go to the dash. Sheldon finished in third, TJ Stutch finished in fourth, and on the final lap, Kyle Moody and Justin Peck were battling, and Justin actually was in a transfer spot and spun in front of Kyle Moody. On the restart, Kyle would hold on to 5th, and he will go into tonight's feature. Driving heat race number 3 was a doozy. We had Paul McMahon starting next to Brad Sweet on the front row, and Paul would lead all but one lap. On the final lap, Brad Sweet gets around to the outside of Paul McMahon, and coming to the line, they are side by side, and Brad Sweet picks up the win in heat race number 1. Paul McMahon will go to the dash, still finishing in second. Jacob Allen and Robbie Kendall dueled it out for the final transfer spot, and coming to the line, they were side by side, banged wheels, and Jacob Allen will hold on to the final transfer spot and go into the feature. Guys missing out on a transfer spot were guys like Gio Scelzi, and Parker Price Miller. In the fourth and final heat race, would have Donny Schatz starting next to rookie point leader Aaron Reitzel. Donny would be leading this one big, and the field was really strung out with 2 laps to go. Aaron Bollinger would spin in turn 1 and 2 and bring out the caution, bunching everybody back up. Brent Marks tried to get around Aaron Reitzel on the final lap, but just couldn't do it. Aaron will go on to the dash, and the heat race number 4 winner was Donny Schatz. Finishing in 4th was Trad Trout, and holding off a hard-charging Logan Schuchart for 5th was Danny Dietrich. Logan will go to the B. CMain would be 10 laps, and we'd take the top 2 cars and put them at the tail of the last chance showdown, and Justin Peck, driving the 20, not the Boot Motorsports number 13 tonight, will go on to win the CMain and will go to the back of the BMain, and with him will be Ryan Smith. BMain will be 12 laps and transfer the final 4 cars in tonight's feature. Robbie Kendall, after missing out on the transfer to Jacob Allen in their heat race, would go on to lead flag to flag and win the BMain. Finishing in 2nd and charging into a transfer spot would be Logan Schuchart. In 3rd would be Gio Scelzi, and on the final lap, Brent Shearer and Jim Siegel get together in turn 3 and 4, and they both spin out. They were racing for a transfer spot, and World of Outlaw regular Brent Marks and PA native gets around them to transfer into tonight's main event. And then a 6-lap dash, setting the first 4 rows in tonight's features. Drawing the pole and starting on the pole after winning the dash will be Donny Schatz, looking for win number 300 in his career and win number 1 in 2021. To his outside will be the big cat Brad Sweet, looking to maintain his point leads after a struggle in Eldora last weekend. Look for Brad to stay up front, starting on the outside of the front row. Brad got around Lance DeWeese in the closing laps. Lance starts in 3rd. Look for him to stay up front. The 69K car is always good when the World of Outlaws come to town. And on the outside of the 2nd row is one of my favorite racers in all of sprint car racing right now, Anthony Macri. The 39 car looks strong tonight, was fast timer on the night tonight. Look for him to stay up front. Buried in this field are Outlaw regulars and Pennsylvania natives. We've got Brock Zierfoss, Jacob Allen, and Logan Schuchart. Look for these guys to charge forward. And in the middle of the pack, World of Outlaw regulars, David Gravel and Sheldon Haudenschild, just missing out on some dash spots, will be headed towards the front. Let's get into it. Round number 1, 35 laps around the Lincoln Speedway. Lap number 1, and Donny Schatz takes out to the lead, leading the first 2 laps, but then a red flag would come out for Chad Trout, who had flipped over in turn number 1 and 2, and we'd have a double file restart. On the restart, a car would spin in turn 1, and we'd have a single file restart. On this restart, Donny Schatz would take off to the lead again, while James McFadden, Anthony Macri, and Lance DeWeese waged war behind a 2nd place running Brad Sweet. Lance actually gets by Anthony Macri a few laps later, but then the car starts smoking as he's chasing down Brad Sweet for 2nd. He's right beside Brad Sweet going down the backstretch, and he brings out the caution as the motor expires. We have a double file restart, and Brent Marks and CARSON MACEDO would make dive bomb moves. Brent actually started in the 6th row, charging forward here early, would get up into the top 5 with this move, but then a caution comes out for a spinner in turn number 1 and 2. With 26 laps to go, we'd have a restart, and Brent Marks continues right where he left off before the caution, rips the top around Anthony Macri, and then gets by Brad Sweet as they're all chasing down Donny Schatz. With 23 laps to go, we're starting to see a lot of guys charging forward here. Brent Marks is on a roll right now, holding his spot in the top 3. Brad Sweet is there too. And then we've got Anthony Macri, and David Gravel, who actually missed a dash spot, is charging up to the front as well. With 23 laps to go, Brad Sweet catches up to Donny Schatz, and they flip-flop lines, flopping the lead a couple times over the next few laps as we're closing in on lap traffic. With 18 laps to go, Logan Schuchart was starting from the B main and was already up inside of the top 12, charging forward there, while a war waged for the lead. With 14 laps to go, we closed in on lap traffic for the first time in the night. With 11 laps to go, the top 3 are under a blanket, stuck in traffic. Brent Marks looks to get around Brad Sweet to move from 12th up to 2nd, and then Donny Schatz gets hung up behind some lap cars, and Brent gets around him for the lead. We would stay in that order for the next few laps, and then with 6 laps to go in turn number 4, Danny Dietrich spins right in front of the leaders. They all split lines. Brent Marks goes to the top, bangs the wall. Donny Schatz slams on the brakes. Macri gets by him, and Brad Sweet gets by them all to go to the lead, and we would stay green. The caution wouldn't come out. Danny Dietrich didn't stop, so we would keep going. With 3 laps to go, Brad is ripping the top, banging the wall a couple times in turn number 1 and 2, while Brent Marks is rolling inches from the inside wall, looking to get the lead back from Brad Sweet. With 2 laps to go, Brad is on the top and Brent Marks is down below. They are closing in on some lap cars and they try to dodge them. Brad rips the top, gets around a lap car, and they would head to the white flag. On the final lap, Brad rips the top yet again, hitting his marks, and comes home with the 9th win on the season at the Lincoln Speedway. Round number 1 of the World of Outlaws versus the PA Posse goes to the World of Outlaws as we're headed to the Williams Grove Speedway this weekend. This, like I said, is Brad's 9th win on the season. He will most definitely extend his points lead as David Gravel actually charged up into the 4th place spot, finishing a few spots behind him. So Brad will still be on the top of the points, and David will probably stay in 2nd. Coming home in 2nd was Brent Marks after his win last week in Eldora and batting 500 so far with the 19 car. It's definitely safe to say that Brent Marks is back in sprint car racing. And then coming home in 3rd was Anthony Macri after starting in the top 5. Anthony looked strong there, was definitely looking to contend for a win late, but with everything that happened, it kind of scattered the cars all over the place. Anthony comes home in 3rd. David, like I said, was 4th, and Donny Schatz actually slid back to a 5th position. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications so that you can stay up to date on when the next World of Outlaws race concludes. And until next time, you guys, the next one's going to be at Williams Grove. I can't wait. Round number 2 and 3 for the World of Outlaws versus the PA Posse. Until then, you guys, stay dirty.